Hi folks, we're now on lesson 5. For those of you who watched lesson 4, if you recall, I set you a small task at the end of that lesson to see if you could write a function called triangle type, and the object of this function is that we pass in the length of 3 sides of a triangle, and then we would determine whether or not this triangle was equilateral, i.e. all the lengths are the same, whether it was an isosceles triangle, so that 2 lengths of the triangle were the same and the other one was different, or whether it was a scalene triangle, and that's defined as a triangle that have 3 lengths that are all different. So you should have hopefully got something like this. So I'll go through this. In fact, I'll run it first and then I'll explain what's going on. So if I run this, so we're going to ask for the length of the first side. I'm going to say it's 3, and we'll set them all 3. And the program comes back as expected to say the triangle type is an equilateral. If we run it again, and we'll do 4, 5, 6. So all the sides are different in this case, and that is a scalene triangle. So the way I did that, I declared the function called triangle type. It receives 3 parameters, A, B and C. And then basically we do the checks. So the first check there, remember the comments that start with a hash from one of the previous lessons, and we're just going to say if A equals B, so the length of A and B are the same, and the length of B and C are the same. Well, we know that A already equals B, so if B also equals C, all lengths must be the same. Therefore, we'll set the result to be equilateral. We'll do the same with an isosceles, and here we're saying basically are 2 lengths the same and the other length different, and we're doing every combination. So we have to check if A is B, and if A equals C, and if B equals C, and if the other parameter is different to those, then it must be an isosceles, and if they're all different, it must be a scalene. Things to note here, because I don't think we covered this, I can't remember. When we're checking within if statements for conditions, and we want to check if something's equal, we use a double equal sign. So a single equal sign is an assignment, such as x equals 10. If we want to check if x is equal to 10, we'd use a double equals like that. Okay, just remember that, may catch you out. And similarly, the other thing I don't think we've covered is the not equals. So a pling or an exclamation mark in Python is a not, and obviously the equals is an equals. So B not equal to C, that's how we would express that. And note also that we've got these sort of Boolean logic statements of and or in here, and the use of brackets is important whenever you're doing ifs. If in doubt, bracket your conditions, and it will save some complications afterwards, particularly when using or can be a gotcha. So that's how we did that. So we did all the checks, we got the result, and we passed the result back, and then within the program itself, all we're doing is getting the length of the sides. We convert them all to integers, store them in num1, num2, num3, and then we're just going to call the function there on this line. We're going to pass in the 3 numbers, so those are our 3 parameters. So num1 becomes A, num2 becomes B, num3 becomes C. We store the result, so that will be the triangle type coming back from the triangle type function. So triangle type will be isosceles, scalene or equilateral, and then finally on the bottom line we're just going to use the new print notation that I talked about. So we're going to print out the 3 numbers and then try type, which is our result or our answer. Okay, so hopefully you've followed that. That's fairly straightforward. And the thing to make a note of here is what I spoke about, the double equals and the not equals. Okay, I'll leave that there for a second. I'm sure you can pause the video if you want to take a copy of that. And hopefully you got something similar. The other thing I wanted to talk about in this lesson was a bit more about strings. So we've covered strings in most of our lessons. But there's a few more things that you can do with strings, and I thought it was just worth covering. So we're going to set up a string called hello world. Oh, sorry, called my string, and into that we're going to assign the string hello world. Okay, and with strings, there are some quite powerful functions in Python. So one of the things that we can do is we can convert that string to be all uppercase by doing that. When I run this program, there you go, you can see that hello world now appears in uppercase. Let's clear the shell. Similarly, we can do the same for lowercase. So we can do a my string dot lower, and that should print our string hello world in lowercase, as you can see in the example. The other things we can do are, we may want to know the length of the string. So for that, there is a function called len in Python, and if we pass in my string, so in our case we've got hello, which is 5 characters, 1 for the space and another 5 for world, so the length of our string should be 11 characters. If I run that, you'll see there we get the length of the string. Another useful thing that we can do is we can split the string. My string dot split. And what this should do is split our string using spaces and return us a list of words. In this case there'll be just 2 in our list. The first one will be hello and the second one will be word. If we run that first of all, I'll show you. So you can see there's our list there. And if we wanted to access either of those words, if you remember lists from lesson 3, I think, we can do my string 0. So the indexes, so a list is like an array, if you recall. So all indexes or indices for arrays start from 0, not 1. So if we print the first index, and we'll do the second one, which will be 1. In fact, sorry, we need to actually store that. So we're just getting the first characters. So we'll split the string and we'll put it into X. So X becomes the list, and then rather than use my string and just get the characters, we'll replace that with X. Sorry, that was my mistake. When we run, you see here we're now splitting out the individual words. So we're splitting the string there, we're storing that list in the variable X, and then we're accessing the first and second elements. There will only be 2 in this case. So the first one will be hello and the second one will be world. Okay, so some quite useful functions. The other one that we can do is we can do what's called a substring. So we may want to just be interested in the first few characters or the first word within these strings. And to do that, you can say things like my string, open square brackets. So we have start of the index, the end of end index, and then there is a step where, so there are actually 3 parameters to this, but I'm only going to look at the first 2 for now. So if we say something like 0, 4, so start from position 0, and go up to position or index position 4. So I'm just going to get rid of this. And you'll see there, so we printed HELL or hell, the first 4 characters, and that's because the index position 0 is the H, position 1 is the E, position 2 is the L, first L, and position 3 is the second L. Okay. And if you remember that we never go up to that, it's always n-1 for that second parameter again. So if we wanted to get the first word in this case, we'd have to change that to 5. When we run the program now, we can get hello. And that's because, remember, with lists it's not inclusive, so it starts from 0, it'll actually go up to 4, not 5. And we can also, we don't have to start from 0, so if we want to start from position 1, that will skip the H at the beginning of that string. We just get hello, so we've dropped the H there. Okay, so quite useful. If we omit one of the parameters, it will just default it to 0. And I'll just quickly show you this, which we can do. So this is the step parameter I'm adding at the end. Don't worry too much about this, it's just a trick which is worth knowing while we're here. So the -1 will go from right to left and it will step backwards. And in this case you can see what it's actually done is we've reversed the string. Okay, so quite a neat little trick. When would you use it? I don't know. Maybe if words that spell the same backwards, like level and I, are known as palindromes. I'm sure you know, or palindromic words. If you ever wanted a function that would tell you if a string or a word was palindromic, then this little trick here is going to be quite useful. So just make a mental note of those. You'll get to the point with Python where nobody knows everything, you can't remember everything, but just be aware that these things exist. And if you can't remember the syntax, then obviously Google is always your friend. There are lots of sites that will help and give you examples with Python, as with any other language. So make use of Google and just have some fun with strings. So that was a bit of a recap and some new stuff in there. This is the end of lesson 5. We're going to move on in lesson number 6. I won't set you a task at the end of this lesson, but I would encourage you to have a play. You know, as I keep saying, to learn Python, you need to do Python. You cannot just read books, listen to me, or watch videos. It simply won't work. You need to get in there. I use Thonny as my IDE, so you can download Thonny from thonny.org and start coding. By all means, then please do use my videos as a guide to get you started, but then just have a play yourself. And as we go through the lessons, I will set you some bigger projects because it's always easier to have something to aim for. So we'll come on to that in later lessons. But please subscribe in the comments section of the videos. It gives you the link to subscribe, and you can see my channel called Petite Python. And I'll see you all in lesson 6.